Imagine for a moment losing everything. The house you lived in for years, the memories kept between the walls of a room, the simple and everyday things we take for granted. And imagine that this happens in a few hours, overwhelmed by the fury of the water, without the time to save anything. In Ravello, a splendid city overlooking the sea, this is exactly what happened. But in the midst of the devastation, an inexplicable event left everyone speechless. The rain had been falling for days, incessantly. The news warned of the risk of flooding, but no one could imagine the extent of the disaster. Then, the water began to rise, first in the streets, then in the ground floors of homes, finally everywhere. Entire neighborhoods were submerged, cars were swept away, shops and homes invaded by mud. Life in the city stopped suddenly. Citizens, helpless, watched from their windows or desperately tried to save what little they could. Families huddled together, praying for the rain to stop. Some elderly people said they had never seen a flood like it in their entire lives. Many homes were destroyed, leaving hundreds of people homeless. Civil defense volunteers and ordinary citizens came together to offer help, bringing food, blankets, and shelter to those most in need. Even the churches in the area opened their doors, turning into makeshift shelters. The stories of those affected by the flood became moving, mothers desperately searching for their children among the rubble, elderly people who had lost everything and clung only to hope. Father Marco, the parish priest of the small church of San Giovanni, was stranded elsewhere when the water reached the sacred building. Only the next day, when the water level had dropped, was he finally able to return. With a heavy heart, he made his way through the rubble. The church door was wide open, the pews overturned, the walls blackened by humidity. The altar had been hit hard by the fury of the water, and yet, something extraordinary had happened. A group of volunteers who accompanied him were petrified by an incredible sight. The corporal, the sacred cloth on which the consecrated host is placed during Mass, was perfectly intact. No trace of humidity, no stain, no sign that it had been immersed in water. The rest of the church was devastated, the statues ruined, the paintings compromised, but that small piece of sacred cloth remained as good as new, as if nothing had happened. A murmur of amazement mixed with disbelief arose among those present. Some fell to their knees, praying and thanking God. An elderly woman, with tears in her eyes, said she had dreamed of the Virgin the night before and had felt an inexplicable sensation of peace. Father Marco's face lit up with emotion. It was impossible not to see in that event a sign of hope. The technicians searched for explanations. Had it been protected in a way that was not obvious? Had it been placed in an airtight container? No theory seemed convincing. People began to murmur, some recalling similar events in other parts of the world, where sacred relics had remained intact despite natural disasters. Some local scientists decided to analyze the phenomenon more closely, but they could not give a definitive explanation. The news of the event spread like wildfire, attracting the attention of experts and scholars from different parts of the world, but no one could explain how the corporal remained intact. The news spread quickly, and the small church of San Giovanni became a destination for pilgrimages. Journalists, believers, and the simply curious wanted to see that mysterious phenomenon with their own eyes. Local television began to document the event, and soon national and international newspapers also spoke of what was defined by some as the miracle of Ravello. Some believers from distant cities set out on a journey to see that sign of hope with their own eyes. Father Marco, with humility, spoke of faith, of hope, inviting everyone to reflect on what really matters in life. Perhaps the true miracle is not only the corporal that remained intact, he said one evening, during a mass celebrated among the rubble, but the way in which this event has rekindled faith in our hearts. For those who believe, this event is not a coincidence. In the darkest moment, when everything seemed lost, a small sign of hope emerged, as if to remind us that faith does not fade even in the most violent storms. That intact corporal became a symbol of something greater, a message that touched the hearts of those who saw and lived this tragedy. Even today, the Church of San Giovanni is visited by pilgrims, who stop in front of the corporal displayed with respect. The city of Ravello, marked by the devastation of the flood, has found in faith a new starting point. New solidarity initiatives have arisen, and people have rediscovered the value of mutual aid in community. Many testify to having rediscovered prayer and the strength of faith thanks to that inexplicable event. The story of Ravello and the intact corporal has continued to resonate in the hearts of many people, not only in Italy, but around the world. The small town, known for its beauty and tourist appeal, has become a symbol of resilience and faith. Images of the devastated church and the intact corporal have traveled around the world, sparking debate and reflection. Many theologians and religious scholars have analyzed the event, trying to understand whether it was a true miracle or an inexplicable natural phenomenon. Some have pointed out that, in the history of the Church, there have been numerous cases of relics and sacred objects remaining intact despite catastrophic events. These events, often considered miraculous, have always aroused a deep sense of wonder and devotion. Others, however, have preferred to maintain a more skeptical approach, suggesting that there may be scientific explanations not yet discovered. However, even among those who do not believe, the event has aroused a sense of respect and admiration for the strength of faith that has animated the community of Ravello. Meanwhile, the city began to rebuild. The streets were cleared of mud, damaged houses were repaired, and shops reopened their doors. But what remained most vivid in everyone's memory was the sense of unity and solidarity that characterized those difficult days. People helped each other, sharing what they had and offering emotional and practical support. Father Marco continued to lead his community with wisdom and compassion. In his homilies, he often spoke of the importance of finding hope even in the most difficult situations. Faith does not protect us from the storms of life, he said in one of his sermons, but it gives us the strength to face them and to find meaning even in pain. The Church of St. John has become a place of pilgrimage not only for the faithful, but also for those seeking a sense of peace and reflection. Many visitors have reported feeling deeply moved by seeing the intact corporal, a tangible symbol of something beyond human comprehension. The scientific community has also continued to be interested in the event. Some researchers have conducted in-depth analyses on the corporal, trying to understand how it could have withstood the water and mud without suffering damage. So far, no definitive explanation has been found, which has further fueled the mystery and devotion. Meanwhile, Ravello's story has inspired other communities affected by natural disasters. In different parts of the world, people who have lived through similar experiences have found comfort and hope in the tale of the intact corporal. The story has been told in books, documentaries, and even in works of art, becoming a universal symbol of resilience and faith. And so, as Ravello continues to rebuild and look to the future, the intact corporal remains a powerful reminder that, even in the most difficult situations, there is always room for hope and miracle. Whether it is a divine event or an extraordinary coincidence, the message is clear: faith and community can help us overcome even the most difficult trials.